The Many Origins of Scootaloo by Defender 22. Chapter 7. Tidle. Twilight and Spike had decided after leaving Durfee's place to walk around the park to stretch their legs and work off the muffins that were currently marching towards their tummies with banners that read, "Fatty fat, 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 fat." It was a beautiful day in Ponyville, and Spike was absolutely giddy that he was able to enjoy it out in the fresh air instead of being locked away in a library, studying musty old tomes. He didn't tell Twilight this, of course. The unicorn was so in love with the library that her favorite perfume was Ooh, the musty books. Hey, Twilight, I got a question. Spike picked up a rock and skipped it across a small pond. Shoot, Twilight said happily. Despite the insanity of Derpy, Dinky, and the doctor, she couldn't help but feel her spirits raised. She was tackling this problem now on her terms, like a researcher, and that made the craziness easier to swallow. And, if she wanted to take a break, she could. She bent down and, deciding to see if the adage was true, took a moment to stop and smell the roses. They were okay, nothing to write home on about. Now, Lilacs, on the other hand, if you are so concerned about where Scootaloo came from, why not just find her and ask her yourself? You know, instead of asking random ponies and getting mad when they tell you stories that aren't as awesome as mine. Twilight's face twisted in annoyance. I thought about that. Problem is, the Cutie Mark Crusaders went to Manhattan for the week to visit Apple Bloom's aunt and Uncle Lawrence. Wait, the CMC are in the big city? Spike asked, suddenly stuttering. What's the worst that could happen? He did it! The CMC called out, pointing to a dock worker. Behind them, a massive cargo ship was slowly sinking beneath the waves. The screams of ponies leaping into the water were echoing across the harbor. Spike, you okay? I just felt a million voices cry out in terror, only to be silenced. Spike sat down on the ground and closed his eyes as if in physical pain. So, you want some lunch? Yeah. I think a nice sandwich might settle the voices down. Twilight nodded, lifting Spike onto her back and making her way into town. Lemon Seed's outdoor cafe had been busy the moment it opened 4 months ago, and as Twilight and Spike approached, they could see that every table was packed full of ponies gobbling up sandwiches and specialty dishes. There was a line of those that had gotten their bags of food, waiting for a table, and most of them had already given in to temptation and begun to eat as they stood patiently, waiting for some seating to open up. Several times Twilight had done the same thing, only to find her yummy meal already consumed the moment a table was finally freed. Normally, she would have rolled her eyes at such service, but Lemon Seed simply served the best sandwiches in Ponyville, and it was difficult to stay mad when one of their chinks stuffed with bread and seagrass. Placing their order at the counter, Twilight and Spike looked at the dining area and found an unusual sight. There was a single table that was not overloaded with diners. That would have been surprising in and of itself, but it was the lone occupant that caught Twilight's attention. Hey, Twi! Isn't that Lord Tidle? Twilight nodded her head. Tidle was not a pony, but a Capricorn, a goat with a long fish tail and scales running down his back legs. Tidle was much larger than most Capricorns. He was one of the few beings that could look Celestia in the eye without tilting their head. His muscular fish tail idly swayed as he looked about the cafe. Twilight could hardly believe he was there. Tidle was the king of the Maritime Sea, and his power over the ocean rivaled Celestia and Luna's over the sun and moon. He had only recently returned to the world after overcoming a bad case of got turned to stone, and last Twilight had heard he had been in Canterlot rubbing flanks with the snobs and blue-bloods, including Snobby Hooves and Prince Blueblood. Twilight had met the sea god once, a few months back, and found him interesting, if a bit gruff. That, however, did little to stop her annoyance at his ability to hog a table. How fair is that he gets the table to himself while the rest of us have to wait? Twilight grumbled. You actually want to sit with him? The peach-colored unicorn in front of her asked in surprise. Why not? Because he is an OC. The unicorn said the word as if it were the most vile thing in the world. And to many ponies, it was. A what? You know, an oceanic creature. It isn't natural for an OC to be around the rest of us, acting like he belongs. The unicorn glared at the giant Capricorn, giving a condescending sniff. OCs always think they're better than us, and deserve to have greater adventures and sexier love lives. Most of them are so one-dimensional. I wish Everypony would see that we do fine without OCs bursting into town and shaking things up and causing trouble. Well, I don't think Tidle's like that, Twilight said stirringly. And I don't think all oceanic creatures are like that either. Are there bad ones? Of course. But there are also bad ponies, too. You, in particular. Come on, Spike. Twilight turned on her hose and trotted over to Tidle. Mind if we sit here? Of course, Twilight, Tidle said, his deep voice rumbling like the thunder of a warning of a coming storm. I decided to get in line and hold a table for my party while they went to get the food. I've offered a few ponies a seat while I waited, but apparently they are as whale-headed as your friend over there. Twilight decided not to dwell on the question of the stubbornness of whales. Sorry you heard that. I tried to set her straight. Oh shoot, that was a girl. But the voice actor did have the male voice. Yeah, the author tends to do that. The reader tends to do that. My apologies. Thank you. Ponies always like her always fear change, Tidle said simply. That is the one thing that hasn't changed over the 1,500 years I've slept. He narrowed his eyes, a dark smile gracing his lips. I wonder how your peachy little friend would react if she knew she was an OC herself. She is? Spike asked, turning to try and see if the unicorn had a fishtail. It's fairly diluted. Probably had an ancestor who married a Capricorn before my kind were turned to stone. But it is there. She is an OC. And very one-dimensional, Twilight muttered. Her bad mood was quickly cast aside as Spike pulled out their sandwiches. All dark thoughts about peach-colored ponies leaving her mind as she tore into her lunch with gusto. Why are you here instead of Canterlot? Spike asked, happily munching on some fried pine needles. Tidle rolled his eye. I was stuck as a rock for over a millennium, and after chatting with Prince Blueblood, I was ready to ask Celestia and Luna to turn me back into stone. Ugh! He shuddered, as if the very memory of the pompous unicorn was causing him physical pain. They are all like him. I gave my life to help the princesses free this country from discord, and they are the ones that hold power. Makes me wonder if I should have fought on dear Uncle Discord's side. Twilight perked up at the mention of discord in the princesses. One of the greatest mysteries of Equestria was the Alicorn sisters. Where they came from, why there were only 2 of them, 3 now with Cadence, soon to be 4. How they had gained their powers. Scholars had debated for hundreds of years the different theories and origins, and never once did Celestia decide to clean the matter up. Twilight got the feeling her mentor enjoyed the squabbling. The scholars did a few, too. A few had even begun to refer to her as Trollestia, referencing, of course, to the legendary king of the trolls, Trollestia I, beloved by her trollkin, but notorious for pulling pranks. But here was Tidle, a fountain of information waiting to be tapped. Twilight felt herself grow giddy at the thought of delving into the Capricorn's mind and discovering lost secrets. Hey, Spike, are you pondering what I'm pondering? Twilight said, leaning in close to her assistant. I think so, Twilight, but if you replace the I with the O, then my name would be Spoke. No, Spike. Tidle may be the one to answer all my questions. Oh, right! Twilight grinned, rubbed his clawed hands together before turning to address Tidle. Or Tidle? Do you know where Scootaloo came from? Twilight's brain went from 60 to 0 in 3.2 seconds flat. Spike! She shouted, the ends of her hair beginning to go ablaze. I wanted to ask about the origin of life, not about Scootaloo! Oh, Spike said. Tidle cleared his throat. Both questions go hoof and hoof. Huh? Twilight said, staring at the Capricorn as he began his story. In the beginning, there was nothing. Not even chaos. There wasn't even a mare box, if you could believe it. By the tide, there are a lot of those things. No wonder all of you ponies are so high-strung. Then, because if there is one thing the universe hates, it's nothingness, a single being came into existence. She goes by many names in many cultures. To those in Equestria, she is Tau Sunflare, the white unicorn alicorn with dark red hair, and the gift of creativity and creation. To the Griffins of Grifforia, she is Stormwind, whose wings are dipped in gold. And to Brika, she is the one who steps on mountains, and her size is so great that to see even 100th of her would destroy one's mind. To the Capricorn race, she is the creator, and is as shapeless as the sea. I call her Mother. Whatever her name is, and whatever her form, the Creator looked upon the world and decided to fill it with all manner of magical and enchanted creatures, so that she would have others to play with. It wasn't as magnificent as ponies think. The Creator, who, at this point in history, looked like to be a fold, giggled as he grabbed onto one of the clay dolls he had made, turning it along the ground. Yay! I'm a pony! Toot toot! Watch me just buck the tree! She made the little pony hit the tree with her hooves. Uh-oh, the apple's in the fall. Will somebody help me? She grabbed a smaller green pony and tilted her head, and decided to add a horn to it so it looked different. I'm a unicorn. No, that's silly. A unicorn. That's it. I'll just, my magic to lift up the tree. Squealing with delight, the Creator used her magic to make 2 clay dolls come to life. Watching as they began to happily trot along the land she had created, never noticing the giant filly foal that clapped her hands in delight. Grabbing the white pony she had made, the Creator was in her pony phase. She had outgrown it, as most she had outgrown her griffin phase and her three-toed sloth phase. She decided to add a new friend to the mix. I can fly! The Creator made the unicorn's pony say. However, her grin turned to a sad frown when she saw that her other ponies were running away in fright from the newest member. She could hear her tiny voices crying out that she was a monster, as no pony had ever heard of a flying pony. No, she's a friend, the Creator said desperately. Looking around, she quickly grabbed some clay and stuck it into the back of the white pony, giving her crude wings. They were too small to support her body weight, and aerodynamic technicians would have a fit. But, luckily, they hadn't been created yet, so there was no one to complain. Surprise! The little white pony doll squeaked as the Creator breathed life into her. She watched in glee as the 2 other ponies came out from their hiding spots and joined the Pegasus in playing. What? What? So, all of creation is a game?
Well, yes.
Tidle scratched his beard.
Isn't it obvious? I would have thought you ponies would have figured it out by now.
No, we haven't! And no, it isn't! Twilight exclaimed. How can you just boil down the glory of creation and existence and say it's just a game?
Because it is, Tidle said calmly. I really don't see what the problem is here. We were all created by a supreme being that, at first, treated us as toys so that we could talk back to her.
Sounds like that play we saw last week, Spike said. You know, the one where the Farmer Pony toy and the Princess Luna Explorer toy became friends and put aside their rivalry? Spike, that was fancy. This is real life.
You know, I hadn't seen that play yet,
Tidle growled.
Celestia had gotten us tickets for tomorrow's performance. Thank you for spoilers.
Oops. Turning to Twilight, the sea god leaned in close, nearly butting noses with her.
So, you have a better answer for why there just happens to be 3 races of pony that look all the same save for one genetic difference? Because as some pony who actually knows the Creator and calls her Mommy, I would love to hear it.
Twilight opened her mouth, then closed it, then opened it again. Then she did this weird twisting thing that was similar to what she did when she ate a brownie, but in the end was nothing like it at all. Finally, she settled for resting her head on the table and sighing. Okay, so we are the descendants of toys. Please continue. The Creator, now looking more like a teenage filly, complete with frizzy hair and her newest invention, leg warmers, shook her head in disgust. Stupid ponies, she grumbled. Once again, the Pegasi and unicorns battled each other while the Earth ponies tried to find a way to take advantage of the situation. This was not how she wanted things to go. She wanted her little friends to work together in peace and harmony. But instead, they were warring with each other and trying to become top dog, or pony as the case was here. But now it was clear that, like all of her other collectibles, they aren't toys! She had complained to, well, no one, since she was the only one of her kind. But still, she would need a top toy. Top toy? Yeah, top toy?
Yes, I am very glad she had changed her mind and called us gods.
To lead them. While the Creator had gotten much better at making new friends, creating all-powerful beings was a tricky thing. She looked at her Discord, her first attempt at customizing, and sighed. Yeah, he was funny. It looked original, but he hadn't turned out like she had hoped, and now he was busy spreading chaos throughout her lovely landscape. It's a landscape, not a playmat. Playmats are for babies! After her first attempt at creating a Scratch custom had gone south, the creator decided to hone her skills by doing minor adjustments and repaints. She started with a zebra, reasoning that no one really cared about them anyway. Wow, now that was mean. It gave her power over the land, creating the Lady of Zabrika. Next, she had selected a Capricorn, giving him magic and strength and control over the sea, and making him very sexually appealing and in a hit with all the Capricorn ladies. Just had to throw that in there, didn't ya? As the great philosopher Cigar is a cigar once said upon being asked a very similar question. Yep. I'm beginning to see what that unicorn meant about OCs. What he had in mind for this new creation would be a bit more advanced. Oh, the same power boosts and size increase would occur. She liked having her babies be the same size as her when she struck down to play with her friends. But she wanted this new creation to be a mix of all ponies, not just one. That would mean alterations to the form, strength of an earth pony, wings of a pegasus, and the horn of a unicorn. The creator got out her crazy glue. So, our ruler is a custom action figure? Tail shrugged. If it makes you feel better, so am I. Well, technically the only thing custom about me is my magic and size. Oh, and the green hair. Only Capricorn with that. He glanced up at the spiked emerald hair that topped his head, which seemed to shift and flow like the waves upon some distant shore. Don't forget your raw sexuality, Twilight grumbled. Twilight Sparkle, I am a married deity. Tidle said in mock protest. What about Princess Luna? Repaint of Celestia. I think she might have done something with the nose, but it wasn't much. Tidle chuckled to himself. Celestia was not happy when Mother revealed Luna to her. Threw a big fit, if I remember correctly. That was about the time Mother decided to dump Celestia and Luna on me. Tidle rolled his eyes, scoffing as he remembered that very important day in equestrian history. Tidle trotted out of his keep to find his mother, in her alicorn form, standing with a small white alicorn filly and an alicorn foal, who was currently gumming her sister's tail. Tidle, you were always the most responsible of your brothers and sisters, and blah, blah, blah. They're your problem now. I'm going on vacation, Mother said, summoning some sunglasses in a travel bag. Have fun with your brother. Mama's going to work on her tan. Tidle blinked as his mother trotted away, leaving him staring at his little sisters. Hi, Celestia said softly. Luna released her sister's tail and probably spit up all herself. Bugger. Wow, Twilight muttered. Now you see where Discord gets it, Tidle grunted. Is your mother always that flighty? Spike asked, finishing the last of his fried needles. No. Sometimes she's just neglectful. Well, this has been so cussing, Twilight muttered. Can we just please get to Scootaloo now? Right. Well, the funny thing about Scootaloo. The creator smiled as he watched Cadence romp around Celestia's legs. She took only a moment to observe the filly's play before disappearing once more into her workshop. She had known for quite some time that Celestia had been depressed, what with her baby sister becoming Nightmare Moon, and her brother/mentor being turned into a rock, and she was thrilled that she had finally been able to create a new little sister for Celestia. She smiled, envisioning all the sisterly adventures the two would go on, the wonderful sisterly bond that the two would... Come along, Cadence. Okay, Aunt Sally. The creator's eyes twitched. Aunt? Niece? Aunt? She's your new sister, you stupid... Gah! She stomped in utter frustration, throwing about her paints and clay and action figures in a fit of rage. I slaved over a workbench for months to make you a cute little sister that looks like you and is full of love, and you make her your niece? I used up all my pink paint on her, too. Arrgh! The creator grit her teeth, all the objects in her workshop settling back into place as he went from blind fury to cold, hard anger. Her eyes narrowed and a wicked smile formed on her lips as he tried over and selected a Pegasus Philly action figure and got to work. You want to play like that, Celestia? Well, it's been a while since I made something evil, so I think I should make up for lost time. She began to mix her paints, the time flying by as she carefully reshaped and redesigned the simple model to become the embodiment of evil and rage. This will be a perfect weapon. It will teach all of your ponies to listen to Mommy when she tells you something. For years, she worked, though for her, it felt like hours, slaving away to get every detail perfect. This would be her masterpiece, her weapon to take control of the lands and creatures she had created, and make sure they learned to properly respect her. Every feather was given the slightest detail, the eyes painted, and painted again to give depth, and the hair assembled one strand at a time. The creator chuckled with glee as he begun the final touches, infusing the little toy with all the powers of death and destruction. She will be a plague. She will attract monsters from all over to find her, and she will drain the magic and strength from any that get near her. A less evil and giddier grin formed as he clapped her hooves. Oh, and she'll wear a scooter. She gave the new goddess of death a name that in equestrian legends meant the destroyer of all hope. Scootaloo. That is the origin of the dread creature known as Scootaloo, Tidle said solemnly. Really? Twilight whispered in awe and fright. No, not really. I can't back any of that up. Twilight Spike just stared at the sea god. But you said... Why would you lie? Had to do something while I waited for my food to arrive. It was either that or play 20 questions, and I hate that game. Spike glanced at the Capricorn. Then at Twilight, who was moving past, bursting into flames, and was moving into full nuclear meltdown. The baby dragon, quickly realizing that unleashing Spike on the god of the sea could very well bring about the apocalypse. You might. Right. Tidle's horns glowed, and Twilight and Spike were both warped away to a nice, peaceful meadow outside of town. The king of the Maritime looked at the other ponies that sat around him, who were now glancing away, lest he turned his attention onto them. Well, that was fun. Tidle, what were you doing just now? Princess Celestia said, a bag of food floating over to the table. Even she knew Lemon Seed had the best food in Equestria. Why are all my subjects cowering? Tidle's horns glowed, and he retrieved his BLT, bluegrass, lettuce, and tomato, from the bag. You know how you've been suggesting I get with the times? Indeed, Celestia said, daintily taking a nibble of her daisy sandwich. Well, I decided to try my hoof at trolling some pony. Celestia's lips twitched, though it was barely enough for any pony to notice. And who did you turn your attentions upon? Luna's daughter. I have a daughter? Luna said in utter surprise. Caged in shining armor, who was there purely to make sure his wife and her family didn't get into too much trouble a few steps behind. Who is she? Twilight Sparkle. Twilight is Luna's daughter? Celestia said, mildly surprised. Of course, pretty much every emotion Celestia had was mild. I didn't know that. I didn't either, and I'm her mother! Luna said with glee. That makes no sense, Shiny complained. Oh, that is so wonderful, Twilight cooed, like a fairy tale. Shining Armor glared at the crazy gods. No, not like a fairy tale. Nothing like a fairy tale. Twilight can't be your daughter. It makes no sense. You were trapped on the moon, and I have memories of her as a foal. Why is this the first time we're hearing about it? Well, apparently, Everypony already knows. That's what the Blue Baker Pony told me when we stopped off for cupcakes at Sugarcube Corner. She seemed very informed. Tidle said, well, if a random stranger we met said it, then it must be true. Shiny grumbled. Don't believe her own brother. Well, if you insist, we won't. Celestia said calmly, ignoring the royal guard. Luna's face broke out into a huge grin. I have a daughter! I have a daughter! She began to dart about the room, shaking hands with every pony she could find. I have a daughter. Oh, this is so great! She turned to the table, hurriedly eating her lunch. Come on! After lunch, we have to go visit her. Oh, this will be wonderful! We'll pay each other's hose, and we'll go shopping, and we'll bond over our monthly breeding cycles. Ski! She began to do a happy dance at the table. Celestia and Tidle doing their best to ignore her, while Cadence kept her hose in delight. Wait, Cadence said, smile fading. If Twilight is your daughter, and Shining is her brother, and I am your niece, does that make Shining and I cousins? Shining Armor's eyes tripled in size at the implication.
Congratulations, Shining. You have just committed incest,
Tidle said, as Shining Armor slammed his head against the table.